So I'm Pam Johnston. I'm from RGU. I'm currently a lecturer there. And this work was actually my PhD work. As you can see, this is a word cloud based on the abstract because the abstract for thesis is quite long. But I do video compression, I do neural networks and technologies, and there's some video tampering in here as well. How do I, Does anybody know anything about computers? Right, so my background was in industry. I went from university and I started working for a company who did video compression. Has anybody actually ever seen any video compression? No, you see it every day. It is in your TV. If you're ever watching Peppa Pig with your kids and you wonder why it looks so dreadful, it's because they're using some sort of temporal averaging algorithm that doesn't quite work. It is designed to be invisible to humans. One of the things I like to tell people is a lot of the digital content online has the colour at 1/4 resolution to the grayscale stuff, because human eyes don't see colour as well as they see intensity. So when we compress it, get rid of the things that we can't see. There are various standards. Mentioned some standards there. They're not numbers, but I mean, H.264 is absolutely everywhere. You probably notice in a Zoom call, if I like to spy it when my friends' faces are at a lower resolution than their background, and I know that they're using artificial backgrounds. So that will come in the next slide. So this is what it looks like. Here's some video compression. This is part of the reason my presentation is absolutely massive, because it's all GIFs. So the uncompressed data there, it doesn't look great on the big screen because I'm seeing that it is spread widely. The quantization of 14, that's the next one up. Quantization of 28. I've just realised this probably looks dreadful online because it's all going to be compressed to hell. So I'm sorry, online people. The one where you're probably noticing a difference is the quantization of 49 looks much worse than uncompressed. And in the broadcast industry, we probably wouldn't use quantization of 49 because it looks dreadful. Now, my PhD, I started looking around and I started looking at how machine learning algorithms perceived compression, given that all the machine learning algorithms for vision is based on data that is commonly scraped from the internet. Given that it is really difficult to find uncompressed video data on the internet, I thought, hey, the machine learning algorithms must be seeing this. We are training our new computer overlords on compressed data. So they are seeing the world through our TV screens. And at that point, deepfakes dropped. And I say deepfakes like everybody knows what it means. But I started looking at video manipulation and what compression means in terms of video manipulation. So in terms of video manipulation, this is what we mean. This is your standard, let's do this in Ocean's 11. We want to rob the office. So we're gonna hack the CCTV system, and we're gonna make it so that these two frames just play over and over again. And it looks like that person with the briefcase who's clearly coming to rob the office, it looks like he disappears. This is actually from a data set. No, this is from Derf's media collection. This was actually uncompressed data that I found online. So the net effect is that's the authentic one, that's the compressed one. Now, obviously, this isn't the only way of manipulating a video. It's just an easy one to show. Yeah, you can see it flicker slightly, but it's not. Yeah, you can, in fact, yeah, his foot comes in and out. It's a little bit hokey cokey there. So there we go. There are other methods of video manipulation. This is actually from a data set that I found online regarding chroma keying video manipulation. So obviously that chicken never sat on the desk. It's not great in terms of chroma keying, but it's convincing enough for the casual viewer. The bottom one, that's spatial temporal copy move. So the guy walking down the street has been removed in the other video, not because they're repeating the same frames over and over again, but because they're actually cutting little bits out of the frames and taking them on. And so it's not a participation sport, but you know, if you want to guess which ones of these are real and which ones of these are fake, this is a data set called face forensics. There is actually a paper about this data set later on that discovered that it's got very slight bias in it. And if you are an Asian woman, like this lady here, you're slightly more likely to be represented as a deep fake in this data set. So there is some data bias in this. Obviously, well, I like to think that it's completely unintentional. It is just a simple, you know, I mean, if you've got a video of a Caucasian woman and you replace her with somebody who is Asian, you know you've done it. You know, it looks convincing and you know it's actually been done and you can make notes on it. So the researchers that built this data set, they weren't intentionally biased, but there is a little bit of bias in it. And I'm hoping that my animations work. There we go. So one of my colleagues is Russian, and he says that this guy here is a Russian politician and that you should never, ever trust what he says. So he obviously zoned in on that, but it is actually digital puppetry. So these people's faces do not move like this in the original images. Now, with my video compression and years of the industry and understanding compression and actually being a little bit tuned into it and able to see it, I saw deep fakes and I went, oh, look at these guys. Their face is a higher quality than their background. That is not what I normally see in Zoom calls, but no, let's work with it. So I thought, I wonder if we can use video compression to figure out if these guys are, you know, they're fake or real. And it turns out you can. So if we look at the compression pattern, I'm hoping that my slides haven't gone completely crazy, but if we look at the compression pattern here, you can see that the darker spots are actually higher quality and lower compression. So we've got the original video here, the face forensics data set, gives you the unmanipulated videos as well as the manipulated videos. So we've got the ground truth here, and we've got the faked video here, and you can quite clearly see that there is an area of high quality video. His face looks better than his background. Now, there is a reason for that in the data set. The original face forensics data set was scraped from YouTube, so it did have reasonable amounts of video compression in it anyway. But it's true for the other ones too. It's not as obvious for some of them, but their faces, the pixels that correspond to their faces, come out as lower quality compression, lower compression, so higher quality images. It's, oh, thank you, sorry. No, we're going forward one. Yeah, so you can see different levels of compression in the video, and it's not necessarily self-consistent. So how did I do it? Next slide. This is science. Get ready. Okay, I got a whole bunch of uncompressed video from there is actually a data set of uncompressed video available online. So I got that, and it is simultaneously far too small and far too big. It's far too big because there's loads of bytes of data because it's uncompressed, and it's far too small because there's not really enough of the data. So I compressed it and I chopped it up and I labeled all the patches. And then I trained a very basic convolutional neural network. There are a few other provisos, like for compression, it's keyframes and stuff. So I could only make it work on keyframes. There are quite a lot of limitations to this, but it meant that I trained a neural network on completely authentic data, but used it to detect manipulated data. You can see that it worked not just on the deep fakes, but it's also picking up the chicken as being high quality video. It's also picking up the top one. It took me forever to figure out what is actually tampered there, but my neural network saw it straight away. There's a dark spot there, and it's actually a tree has been inserted into that particular video. These are still images because my stuff only works on keyframes, but it did work. So yeah, I had during my PhD, I created a novel method of tampering detection using only authentic sources. It was 96% accurate on the face forensics data set. But it did generalize to more than one type of tampering. It was designed from the bottom up so that it didn't just detect deep fakes. It would also work on chroma keyed stuff. It does have limitations, but you know, I mean, you're probably thinking, why should I care? One of the things that I want to draw attention to through this presentation is that deep fakes are just the beginning. There is a lot of generative AI out there. There are a lot of things being generated. They have good moral reasons. I mean, we saw earlier one of the presentations about dyslexic brains. I've seen papers where people are generating your brain without the neurodegenerative disorder. So they maintain the identity of the brain, but they remove the symptoms of the disorder. This, you know, these are good applications of generative AI. It's not just, oh, yay, now we don't have to deal with people talking different languages when the film is dubbed. You know, it's not trivial applications. That are good applications out there. But I want to draw attention that you're not necessarily seeing the truth. There are also paper mills producing diagrams. There's a whole research basis where a particular researcher, Elizabeth Bick, has picked up on paper mills because their pictures are all almost identical. They've been slightly manipulated to make them look slightly different. There's a lot of things that people are doing that are flying under the radar. So thank you for your attention.